Hey everybody, welcome to the Man Leek. I'm John as always, and we're here for the January 1st, New Year's Day, Theros Beyond Death preview recap. And we don't have too many today. It looks like tomorrow we're going to go back to having a whole great big bunch, but let's get through the ones we had today. Up first, from Seth Manfield, we got to see Chainweb Iraq. Chainweb Iraq is a single green mana for a creature spider at uncommon. It's a 1/2 with reach. When it ETBs, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature with flying an opponent controls. You can escape it for 3 green and exiling 4 other cards, and it does escape with 3 +1/+1 counters on it, so it would come back as a 4/5. This seems like a pretty solid limited card. A 1/2 reach for 1 is a great sideboard card, might even sneak into your main deck, and the fact that it'll kill an X1 flyer is great, and then escaping it might be one of the best cards that you escape because it's going to eat another flyer and be a really big reaching blocker as well as a good attacker. Outside of limited, I don't think it's going to see any play. Also from Seth Manfield is Reverence Hoplite. Reverence Hoplite is 4 and a white for a creature human soldier at uncommon. It's a 1/2. When it ETBs, create a number of 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens equal to your devotion to white. I don't think this is going to see any play anywhere. I don't really want this in any limited deck. A 5 mana, possibly 1/2 that brings 1/1 with it is literally unplayable, and the number of 1/1s that I need to make with this is massive for me to ever want to play this card. So I just don't see it being a thing, and outside of limited, I don't see this being strong enough for anything. This card just seems super bad. Up next, previewed by Wizards of the Coast Instagram, was Dalek Ghost, Crafter of Worlds. Dalek Ghost is 1 blue-red for a legendary creature, Merfolk Artificer at rare. It's a 2/4, tap to add colorless to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. Equipped creatures you control have flying and haste. Now, we'll have to see if blue-red happens to be an artifact matters kind of archetype in this limited format or not. This does not mean that it is, because it's a rare, not an uncommon. This could just be a rare commander plant, because of course it's legendary. Here you go. Here's a blue-red artifact commander for you that doesn't necessarily fit in the set. That's my hope anyway. I'm getting real tired of sets that have too many artifacts in them, because artifacts inherently have to be a little bit underpowered, and because of that you end up with packs that are underpowered, and it just makes draft formats kind of sloggy. Ether Revolt would like to speak with you. But yeah, Dalek Ghost looks purpose-built for Commander, Brawl, etc., and I'm sure there's some stuff that you can do with him. Maybe I'll build a blue-red artifact Brawl deck. I've been meaning to get into Brawl. I think it might be an okay introduction to Commander for me, so maybe we'll give it a try. Up next is a card that's currently being translated as Sweet Oblivion, as previewed by the MTG Korea Facebook page. Sweet Oblivion is 1 and a blue for a sorcery. Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, escape for 3 and a blue, and exile 4 other cards from your graveyard. This is uncommon, which means you're not going to get many copies of it. This is not the Merfolk Secret Keeper. I don't think you're going to see the hyper-efficient aggro mill that we saw in Throne of Eldraine in Theros. I could be wrong, but this being an uncommon strongly suggests not going to happen. Theoretically, you're going to be in the blue-black escape deck and want to use this on yourself, but we'll talk a little bit more about escape when we get to the set review and even on another card here. I don't know how viable it's going to be for limited. We're going to have to see. And of course, there is a cute thing that you can do if you want to get really janky in Commander or something with this. You can target yourself, mill 4, and then escape this using those 4 and do it again and again and again. So if you have infinite mana and a Laboratory Maniac, you can win the game. Or you can win the game when you would draw a card anyways. But yeah, beyond that, I don't see this seeing much play in constructed formats. In limited, it's going to depend entirely on how that self-mill deck works, and we'll see if an actual mill your opponent deck works, but I'd avoid doing that in this format from what I've seen so far. Also from MTG Korea was Glimpse of Freedom. Glimpse of Freedom is 1 and a blue for an instant, draw a card, escape for 2 and a blue, exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. 1 and a blue, draw a card at instant speed is okay. It's no opt, that's for darn sure. But you can flash this back like Think Twice, except this is massively worse than Think Twice. Exiling 5 other cards from your graveyard plus casting this card is 6 of your 40 cards. That's 15% of your entire limited deck. And so as a result, this kind of got me thinking that in limited anyways, you're probably going to be escaping like 2 cards a game, maybe even 1, depending on what you're doing. If you're in the heavy self-mill deck, you're really kind of rolling the dice on whether you're going to get what you need in time before you just mill yourself out. So currently, I'm actually a little bit hesitant about Escape in Limited. I think one cool thing might be that it's going to be very skill testing to figure out which card you escape, because you might only be escaping one or two each game. But yeah, this card seems okay if you can escape with it. I just don't know how many times you're going to be doing that. In other formats, I don't think it's strong enough. There's so much blue draw in the history of Magic that this card just kind of falls by the wayside. Up next is previewed by VG Time, is currently being translated as Cetessan Priest. Cetessan Priest is 1 green for a creature human druid. When Cetessan Priest enters the battlefield, you gain life equal to your devotion to green, and it's a 2/2. This is Nylea's Disciple from original Theros. Nylea's Disciple was 2 green for a 3/3 that did all of this. And that kind of sounds like a card that I would say was bad, but it was actually really good in Theros Limited. I'm not going to lie, I don't exactly remember why gaining a bunch of life was great, but the card was just great in Theros. Having multiples of them was really, really good. Plus the double green to help out the devotion is solid. And I expect this card's probably going to be a lot better than people might at first glance think it is, especially if they haven't played with Nylea's Disciple. The fact that it's an uncommon for what seems like kind of a weak ability should be a little bit of a signal there. But yeah, this card's probably going to be pretty solid in Limited. Outside of Limited, I don't see it making much of an impact. Up next, is previewed by the Japanese MTG Twitter account, is Birth of Miletus. Birth of Miletus is 1 and a white for an enchantment saga at uncommon. Act 1, search your library for a basic land, put it in your hand, shuffle your library, because that's a white ability? I don't know. Act 2, create an 0/4 Defender artifact creature token. That sounds more like white. Act 3, gain 2 life. Whole 2 life. Yeah, I don't know about this card. We're going to have to see what exactly white is wanting to do with other colors. Obviously, fixing your mana base by searching your library for any basic land and putting it in your hand is solid and a weird thing in white. At least as far as I can remember anyways. Act 2, making an 0/4 Defender. Maybe that's going to be good, but we'll see how big the creatures are on average and how big they get, thanks to auras and counters and stuff like that. And then gaining 2 life is so meaningless. I assume, as we saw with Heliod, that there is going to be a life gain matters theme in white, at least one of the white colors. I would guess maybe white-green, especially with Cetessan Priest, I suppose. But boy, that feels unimpactful if you're not doing something with it. So we'll see how good this enchantment, or how good this saga is. I assume it's fine. You know, it's the case that it's 3 fine to mediocre or bad cards on 1 card, which is going to make it okay anyways. Yeah, we'll see how it does in Limited. And again, outside of Limited, I see this seeing no play whatsoever. The final card for today, as previewed by Wizards of the Coast themselves, and I know that we have a couple more coming from Lady Danger and Magic Mike's, but they haven't previewed yet. I know Magic Mike's will be quite late tonight, so they'll be in tomorrow's recap, is Ashiok's Erasure. Ashiok's Erasure is 2 blue for an enchantment with flash. When Ashiok's Erasure enters the battlefield, exile target spell. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. When Ashiok's Erasure leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. So this, of course, is kind of like Spell Queller from way back in a set, Eldritch Moon, where it's a counter spell, but it also provides you something. In the case of Spell Queller, you got that body, and as long as it existed, your opponent didn't have that spell, but then they could get it back. In this case, you don't get a body, but you do get an enchantment, which might matter, and you do get 2 blue mana pips, which might matter. So I think this is probably going to be okay in Limited. Now, of course, in Limited, it's basically singleton most of the time, so it's not like you're going to get massive value out of this by stranding cards in your opponent's hand, but it'll probably be okay if you do want to play it. It's going to be a little bit better than a cancel, I think. In Constructed, I can imagine this will have some play if there is a mono blue devotion deck. Mono blue devotion was huge during the original Theros. We'll see if something like Master of Waves gets reprinted or something on that power level. Then I could see this having some effect. I can also see this going into Brawl decks and Commander decks. I can see this having some impact in Constructed formats. It may not be an all-star, top tier level rare, but I can see it having some play. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know what you think of these cards. It looks like we're starting to get a little bit less splashy rares. I expect that might pick up either towards the end of the week or the start of next week. We still, of course, have a brand new Planeswalker to talk about at some point. We've seen pictures of them. We've heard their voice lines. We just haven't seen the card. But let me know what you think of these cards. Am I way off base on Reverent Hoplite, thinking that it's trash in all formats? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know here, over on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, patreon.com/themanaleak if you want to help the channel out. If you want to buy something from Inked Gaming, please use the inkedgaming.com/themanaleak to let them know that I sent you. And of course, the easiest way to help out the channel is like, share, and subscribe. But if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.